The show creators have been trying to hint at a so-called new character for a long time now, and I'm not talking about Ribbit at all. Today we're going to talk about one of the biggest mysteries of the digital circus right now and figure out what the creators are actually trying to tell us. But before that, I want to tell you about one small but pretty interesting detail from the new batch of merch from Glitch. After Glitch Carts, we got access to the new merch, and among the pretty regular stuff, I noticed this interesting acrylic keychain with Jax as the main character. I don't really care about the keychain itself, but behind it you can see the rooms of two very well-known characters, Kaufmo and Ribbit. What grabbed my attention the most is the fact that here we see full images of these characters, while in the actual episodes, we clearly saw their pictures crossed out. This tiny detail once again shows that episode 7 is going to be the most important one when it comes to characters we haven't seen before. If Kaufmo and Ribbit are 100% abstracted, and the only chance for them to show up again is through someone's memories, 99.9% it'll be Jax. Then there's one more character we've been getting hints about for a long time, and yeah, I'm talking about that strange mannequin. Lately there have been way too many references to the hat, and in the previous video I was sure the creators were hinting at Gummy Goo while in the latest Glitch upload. The mannequin shows up again, and recently, there's just too much focus on this type of character. The hat most likely points to the disappearing guy who was shown in the latest video, and calling his appearance a new character wouldn't make sense. But the fact that we keep getting these mannequin references really makes you think. After the final scene of episode 5, a lot of people were sure that this mannequin would be revealed in episode 6, and judging by how it acts, it's nothing like the usual mannequins we see in different adventures. This guy is way too smart and behaves really weird, which makes you think that the mannequin is actually a new character stuck inside a mannequin body. Maybe Zach Hadel will voice him, but that's just a guess. There's also a theory that this mannequin used to be a real character. Then he got abstracted, but after spending some time as a monster, he somehow managed to get out of it, and the system flagged him as a mannequin. If that's true, we're going to learn a lot of hidden info about the digital circus, about the real truth behind it, and we'll finally get an answer about what abstracting actually is and how it works. This is the topic I really want to talk about right now. There are a couple theories about how it actually happens. Starting from the pilot episode, we all noticed that Kinger is way different from everybody else. His behavior raised a ton of questions, and it really felt like this old guy was already one step away from turning into an abstracted monster. Back in fall 2023, pretty much everyone was sure Kinger would only last 1 to 2 more episodes before ending up like Kaufmo. But time passed, and now we're literally about to get episode 7, and there's still not even the smallest hint that Kinger is close to abstraction. The thing is, he's been stuck in the digital circus for a really long time, and during that time he's managed to outlive a lot of others, and even though at first he looks like a complete lunatic, we all get that it's only half true. In reality, Kinger is probably the wisest and maybe even the smartest character there, and he clearly figured out what's going on and what main things he needs to do to stay in his own body. But let's not jump the gun and go step by step. First, we gotta understand what actually leads a character to abstraction. Like I said earlier, there are a few theories about how the whole thing starts. The first one says that it all happens because the character becomes distant from everyone else and refuses to accept the reality of the digital circus. And because of that, they slowly start losing their mind. Their brain gets filled with so much negativity and this kind of depressive mindset that after a while, the character just exists without really living and slowly loses themselves. And that's what eventually turns them into an abstracted monster. But that theory oversimplifies everything, and even though it's partly true, it still doesn't give us the full picture. To really understand what's going on, we gotta start from the very beginning. We all remember how Pomni ended up in the digital circus. She literally popped out of nowhere, like a brand new playable character. We also know that people get into the digital circus through some kind of headset that's hooked up to a computer, and that computer is sitting in one of millions of abandoned buildings. That's the moment we realize that the amazing digital circus is a fully unique, super advanced computer game with complete immersion. The characters can't just teleport into their real bodies, so the system picks an avatar for them automatically, and they don't feel smells, taste, hunger, the need to sleep, or any other normal human stuff. Now we're getting to the most interesting part, because everybody knows that any video game is basically made of thousands of lines of code stored in different files. Each character has their own unique file that only the developers have full access to. And here's the important part. Kane is just the administrator, which means he can't fully get inside the characters' minds. He simply doesn't have that level of access. Even though we've seen something that looked like changes in the character's thinking, it was always temporary. Kane just created an illusion and Jax believed it. Same goes for the outfit change. It's just visual trickery, not an actual rewrite of the character. That's exactly why when a character turns into an abstracted monster, Kane can't do anything about it. Abstraction happens partly because of loneliness, isolation, and the character's rejection of the digital circus, but that's just the emotional trigger. The real problem is that their coded file basically starts to break. The character can kinda rewrite their own code through their actions and thoughts, and the moment everything starts feeling dark and awful for them, their code starts changing too. Since the original version of that code was programmed to be completely different, the system can't handle the rewrite, and the file basically breaks. And that's why we see all those tragic consequences. I'm not a coding or programming expert, so maybe I'm explaining it a little messy, but I think you get the general idea. Now let's go back to Kinger, the one guy who somehow manages to outlive everybody else. If we rewind to episode 3 and remember that scene where Pomni and Kinger talk, we hear the old man telling her to never forget who she is, to hold on to her humanity, and to appreciate the people around her. Thinking about the past keeps a character from forgetting who they really are, which means their original code doesn't get damaged, and having good connections with other characters keeps them from destroying themselves. It sounds kind of simple, but that's basically the main way to avoid abstraction and stay in the digital circus for years. All of this perfectly lines up with Pomni, because at the beginning of episode 2, she was literally on the edge of turning into an abstracted monster. And yeah, it was just a dream, but her mind was already ready for it. But the second she started doing what Kinger told her, everything got way easier for her, and we haven't seen a single hint of Pomni abstracting ever since. At the start of the video, I said that besides Kinger, one of the key characters in this whole story is Jax. Everybody remembers how this guy explained his philosophy on how you're supposed to live inside the digital circus. Jax literally says you gotta forget everything about your life before the circus and just have fun without caring what anybody thinks. But we've all seen where that leads. Plus, Jax is insanely good at convincing people, because even Pomni, who'd been living by the rules Kinger gave her for a long time, ended up giving in and decided to try the kind of life Jax was offering. Thankfully, it all ended the way it had to end, because if Pomni kept living like that, the best case scenario for her would have been the exact same outcome as everyone who's now stuck in the cellar. Regatha literally said Jax destroys everyone around him, and that's exactly why she didn't want the rabbit getting close to Pomni in the first place. Before we get back to Jax and his influence, I want to answer one more question from the start of the video. Is it actually possible to return to a normal state after turning into an abstracted monster? Now that we finally understand how abstraction works, I can confidently say yes. Because even in real life, damaged files can be restored, so it's totally possible inside the digital circus too. Plus, we've already seen that even in the abstracted monster form, characters can still think straight and understand what's going on around them. Right now, the real issue is that there are way too many of them, and not all of them are going to act like Queenie. Most of them will be just as aggressive as Kaufmo, and that in turn is going to lead to huge problems. Getting back to Jax, it's clear his influence on everyone is just insane, and Ribbit is the one who got hit by it the hardest.